welcome to the video. My name is Show, and in this video we're going to talk about self-doubt, how we can actually get rid of the self-doubt from our mind. You know, when you're actually having this self-doubt and dealing with all this self-doubt and trying to tell you, you know, you're not good enough or you can't do this, when you're trying to learn something new or you're trying to approach or challenge yourself to the new project or launching a business or anything, you challenge yourself to step out from your comfort zone, even though you have that attitude to challenge something, which is absolutely beautiful thing. The majority of people who cannot do that, majority of people who just like sit down and watch Netflix and don't do anything, right? And then even if it's the healing, even if it's the loving yourself, even if it's the spiritual alignment, it takes courage to get out from your comfort zone. And this is the law. You have to challenge yourself to get out from your comfort zone. But however, every time you try something, you are almost like get attacked by all this self-doubt and trying to pull you back, and then you feel the resistance. And don't get me wrong, I had a bunch of self-doubt. Now it's all gone. I barely deal with self-doubt nowadays, and then everything is just completely gone because I don't create the space. This is going to be the key in this entire video, which I'm going to break down right now. If you create the space for the self-doubt to come in, and this is exactly what you're going to deal with it. And then in Buddhism talk about emptiness. And if you empty your mind, everything can come in, but nothing actually bothers you. Then okay, sure, how come actually creating a space allows you to reduce or eliminate all these like random thoughts or negative thoughts to bother you? Because essentially, if you learn to empty your mind, then you already learned that how you can actually deal with it and observe your thoughts and emotion rather than becoming a part of your emotions and thoughts. Because we have 60,000 thoughts per day, and it's so random, right? Like not everything is just calculated or it's very, very detailed thoughts that is essentially what you need to hear. It's not like that. Most of the thoughts are just random and it pops up because of the memory, because of the idea, because you heard something, because you associate something. YouTube video and then self-help or a YouTube video or to some YouTuber, like you associate things and you just think something randomly. And then if you have this space for the self-doubt to creep in, which is the space is coming from your insecurity. The space is coming from your ego. Your space is coming from all this habitual way of thinking, because again, when you're challenging yourself, then you're breaking the pattern, right? Because everything that becoming a pattern within you is something that you've done. It's coming from the known. But everything that you don't have patterns is coming from the unknown, which is you don't have the pattern, which is you don't know yet. And perhaps you challenged it before, and then now you created the different pattern, which is like, oh, this doesn't work, I cannot do it, and blah, blah, blah. So it's also the way that because you experienced the way that it wasn't very pleasing or it wasn't very, very helping you to get to the next level. Now you created something, that very negative version of perception, negative version of interpretation of that experience, which is challenging yourself or getting out of your comfort zone. And this is actually a very, very simple equation that I need you to understand, which you might not like, but the equation is this. The more you challenge yourself, or more you get out of your comfort zone on a daily basis consistently, the fewer the self-doubt that you have to have in your mind. And what I mean by that is the people who's constantly challenging and getting a feedback, and it can be some sort of failure, right? Making mistakes. Shit, this doesn't work. But people who's constantly dealing with all these situations, then they don't have the space. They don't create the space, all this self-doubt that creeps in and pull them back, because they are in habit. They're in a movement of challenging and getting out of the comfort zone. So their mind works in a certain way, which, for example, like in my case, I do a lot of challenges on a daily basis, and I, invest or do things and new things, and I do it. And of course, there are a lot of resistance to it. For example, when I pay money, sure, there can be resistance, or learning something new, or starting something new, or making a change in what I do. There are always resistance. They're always the obstacles. But because I am already in a state of where I can just easily challenge myself instead of like talking out within my mind, it's like welcoming the self-doubt to pull me back. I'm just basically out there, cool, I want to do it, boom. Okay, I want to get out of my comfort zone, I want to challenge myself because that's what I'm seeking. I'm not seeking the failure. I'm not seeking the potential failure. I'm not seeking the potential of being judged. I'm not seeking all this potential of rejection. I'm just seeking the action. So that's very simple as that. Because if you seek the potential of failure, potential of all these negative scenarios, then what you're seeking is the external factors. But if you're seeking action, then everything is internal. You don't need to seek nothing outside of yourself. This is what Musashi Miyamoto said. He is perhaps the most famous and the strongest samurai in the history. That he said, everything within. So seek nothing outside of yourself. So the action comes from within, right? So like you make a move. That's a very internal action. Your brain sends a signal, electric signal, to make a move. So when you're actually creating a space for these external possibilities to come in and curse your mind with all these self-doubts that limits your life and limits your potential, even though you have unlimited source beyond time and space, when you actually tap into the higher self and when you are so aligned within yourself, everything connects. And I've experienced that multiple times, that it just all makes sense. Since I was born to this point, or even before I was born, things does make sense. And if that is the truth, then whatever you go through has meaning. Nothing actually is a meaningless event or experience within your life. Whether it's difficult, whether it's easy, everything actually holds a deep meaning to it. But when we are so caught up with all this bullshit, self-doubt and the possibility of failures and whatnot, then you don't have the space, or you're not in the state of mind or state of self to be able to see the potential of success, or to visualize this beauty of success, or to visualize yourself becoming somebody you want to be. There's a two directions that I explained right now, but either way, it is completely your choice. Comes from internal. Again, if you create some space that just needs to be filled with all this like negative shit and then self-doubt, then of course, again, you're going to be cursed by it. It's funny because most of the time that we challenge ourselves, then I look back and in hindsight, and yeah, it wasn't that big deal. You know what I'm saying? But when we are actually facing that situations and then all this internal dialogue, then it seems like it's such a higher risk. So we take more time to calculate all these equations and all these, possibility of choosing a lower risk, choosing decisions and choosing path that comes with the lower risk because we don't want to deal with it. That's a human nature. That's why majority of people take the lower risk, compromise and settle, and not pursuing passion, not pursuing dreams, because essentially it is so strong. The feeling of security is so strong that literally just force you to choose all these lower risk decisions. But ironically, everything that you ever wanted, definitely in a different path, which is choosing the higher risk. But this isn't necessarily actually lower risk or higher risk, because that's how you perceive. That's how you actually see the potential of this failure and everything. And then if you actually treat that differently, for example, I don't see the failure as a bad thing. Even if I happen to have some sort of experience or situation that I go like, it didn't work out very well, or maybe I failed, maybe I embarrassed myself, or maybe it was not really a pleasing experience, even though I chose that by myself. Then I see, cool, like it didn't work, move on. So I built that habitual way of thinking of me seeking the action to get out the comfort zone without thinking about all these worst case scenario and creating a little space for myself to be cursed by the self-doubt and all the negative thoughts. I seek action and actually focusing on stepping out from the comfort zone. While you're dealing with the situation, while you're inside of this whole thing right now and immersing yourself into it, then you don't have the space to worry. If you're running away from the bear or tiger or lion, whatever it is, you don't think about the worst case scenario. You fucking run. So most people are struggling, not the actual experience or not actual situation that they're dealing with, but the idea of the past or future. That space that I'm talking about that welcomes self-doubt to come in. So if you, as much as you can, be in the present moment, and rather than bring your mind and bring your spiritual state to the past and future, bring back and align with yourself in the present moment and focus and seek actions, right? Don't seek external possibilities, but seek action. And your intention, hold on to the intention. Hold on to the intention so strong that you know that what you want and you know that direction you're going to. And then once you know the direction that you're going to, seek action. And I'm saying this seek action intentionally, because if you seek something else, which is external, then again, you create a space for those possibilities, worst case scenario, to come in, and then you start overthinking. The self-doubt becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and now you feel like the self-doubt is covering up the entire yourself and an energy and suppressing like an energetic level, and the spirit becomes so small and your soul becomes so small, and then you can't think of anything but negative. Again, the reason why we have body is because it is a spiritual instrument to also allow ourselves to become more spiritual. And it's very interesting that I've learned that even though the spiritual means something that we cannot measure, right? Material is something that we can measure, and our body is definitely materialistic. However, it holds this spiritual instrument aspect, and it is part of us that allows us to have this physical experience. Because without all this spiritual connection with our spirit, self, and mind, and all this energy to our body, it doesn't work out like that, right? And seek action and follow your intuition. And then even if you get the feedback, which can be not something that you expected, or which is not something that you wished to experience, learn from it, and then don't bring yourself back. Because I'll guarantee, if you're about to challenge something, when you're struggling with self-doubt now, and you want to challenge yourself, when you get out of comfort zone, first thing you deal with is something that tests you. Life tests you without you putting in the school. That's different. Like, school gives you a period of time set in study so that you can pass the test. But life tests you first so that it humbles you, and then it gives you the opportunity to learn. So keep that in mind. Never seek anything outside of yourself. Seek action if you want to literally get rid of all these self-doubts in your mind, which is cursing you and which is fucking making you feel miserable. And 2024 is about coming, and I feel like every day I'm talking about this 2024. Look, 2024 is the year of dragon, and I've seen so many signs of dragon around me. It's insane, and it's here with us. So if you want to receive the blessing of the dragon, because dragon as a god, it's so huge in Japan and perhaps in China as well. I'm not really sure the other culture that much, but at least Japan believes the dragon. That's why we have Dragon Ball. But what the dragon does in the Dragon Ball, it make your wish come true. Exactly. So the dragon of God, it brings you power, it brings you abundance, it brings you wealth. It will help you with the dragon, the god of dragon. He will help you to manifest anything you want. So be prepared, ready for the healing, because without the healing, you cannot be that version of yourself to be aligned with that, because all this weight that you're carrying is going to sabotage you to really encounter with the god of dragon. So I'm dead serious though, I'm talking about dragon, but I've seen so many signs and it's fucking crazy. So I hope that you also receive this, the blessing from dragon, and you will experience the fantastic, beautiful year in 2024. But in order to do that, you have to seek action and get out from your comfort zone, challenge yourself, because life tests you fast before you can learn something. Alright, with this said, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate all of you guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Live your life like a movie.